Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the hottest updates in K-entertainment. Today, we've got a story that's sending shockwaves through the industry. Korea's beloved actress Song Hye-kyo has just announced that she's getting remarried this November. And trust us, the internet is losing its mind. But here's the twist. The identity of her future husband? Let's just say it's someone no one saw coming. A top Korean actor, a global heartthrob, and someone you definitely know. So who is he? How did their romance begin? And why is the entire industry buzzing with this unexpected news? Stay tuned, because we're about to break down all the details, from the mystery cafe photo to the official wedding confirmation. In this episode that's equal parts sweet and sensational, let's dive in. On a quiet night in Seoul, far from red carpets and blinding camera flashes, a subtle moment unfolded. 3 photos appeared on Song Hye-kyo's Instagram. Quiet, delicate frames of a dimly lit dessert cafe, where she sat with 2 others, their expressions softened under candlelight. At first glance, it seemed like nothing, an actress sharing an evening out. But within hours, that post rippled across social media like a tremor through still water. Why? Because fans knew Song Hye-kyo. She doesn't post randomly. She doesn't share without intention. And something about these photos, the candle in the center of the table, the intimate angle, the quiet presence of a man beside her, whispered of something more. The speculation exploded almost instantly. It had been years since Song Hye-kyo had made headlines for her personal life, and never in such a mysterious way. The photos were accompanied by just 2 Korean characters. Tor. Rock. Seemingly meaningless to most, yet poetic in her context. Was it a metaphor? A nickname? A memory? Her agency, as always, remained tight-lipped, and that silence only amplified the noise. As netizens began analyzing every detail, the desserts, the candle, the background, one theory began to take hold. The man in the photo, seated beside her, was quickly identified by sharp-eyed fans as none other than Minho. The realization hit like lightning. One of the biggest Hallyu stars in the world, Minho had long been considered the crown prince of K-drama. Known for his suave charm, commanding screen presence, and fiercely loyal global fanbase, he was not someone you expected to see quietly sipping dessert in the corner of a cafe. Especially not with Song Hye-kyo. And yet there he was. Not in a drama but in real life. Their story, as it turned out, began just months earlier. Both had been cast as leads in an ambitious Netflix original drama titled Slowly, Intensely, a sweeping romantic series set in South Korea's entertainment industry during the turbulent 1960s, 1980s. In the drama, Song Hye-kyo plays a forgotten trot singer struggling for reinvention. Minho plays her dedicated manager, a man who believes in her when no one else does. It was their first official collaboration, and expectations were high. But no one could have predicted the chemistry that would ignite, not just on screen but off. According to insiders on set, the connection between Song and Lee began quietly but grew undeniable. They often lingered after takes, continuing scenes even after the director had called cut. Crew members whispered that they were locked in, not just in character, but in each other's presence. There was an emotional current between them that felt too real to ignore. One staff member recalled a moment when the camera stopped rolling, but neither of them broke eye contact. It wasn't acting anymore, they said. It was something else entirely. Still, rumors stayed at bay, until the cafe post. The candle, now famously positioned between their plates, wasn't just a prop. It was a symbol. Not a birthday, not a celebration anyone knew about, but a quiet sign between 2 people who had grown closer in the spaces between fame and fiction. And then came the confirmation. Swift and shocking. On the morning of October 15th, Song Hye-kyo's agency released a statement that sent waves through the entertainment world. Actress Song Hye-kyo will be marrying actor Minho this November. The 2 developed a sincere and respectful relationship during the filming of their upcoming drama. The wedding will be private. We thank you for your understanding and support. The reaction was instant and immense. Fans around the world, many of whom had never even considered the possibility of this pairing, flooded timelines with congratulations, memes, and disbelief. "This is the most unexpected couple of the decade," one user tweeted. "And somehow the most perfect." Others shared clips from their behind-the-scenes footage, now rewatched with new eyes. Every glance, every laugh, every unscripted touch suddenly took on new meaning. The hashtags #Song Hye-kyo wedding and #Lee Minho trended globally for hours. But even among the excitement, there was a quiet emotional undertone, because these weren't just two beautiful people getting married. These were two icons who had lived under the microscope for most of their adult lives, now stepping out of it to choose love. For Song Hye-kyo, it marked a new chapter. A woman who had weathered public scrutiny, heartbreak, and reinvention with poise. For Lee Minho, it was perhaps his most vulnerable role yet, not one performed for the screen, but lived in real life. Their wedding, reportedly set to take place on Jeju Island in mid-November, will be an intimate affair attended by close friends and family. A second private celebration in Seoul will follow, with key figures from the entertainment industry in attendance. No press. No cameras. Just vows. Details have been scarce, but sources close to the couple say the bride's dress will be custom designed by a Parisian haute couture house. The groom will wear a classic suit, simple, tailored, and elegant, just like the announcement that preceded it. The guest list, while tightly guarded, is rumored to include top-tier stars like Jun Ji-hyun, Park Seo-joon, Kim Go-eun, and even BTS's V. But in truth, this wedding isn't about celebrity power. It's about quiet resilience and an enduring belief in something real. What strikes fans the most is how organic it all feels. There were no tabloid leaks. No contrived, caught by the media moments. Just a photo, a caption, a candle, and beneath it all, a love story that had been quietly growing, like a flower blooming in the shade. In a world where celebrity romance is often loud, overproduced, and short-lived, theirs feels patient, grounded, and deeply felt. The upcoming drama, slowly, intensely, now ironically titled, will only further stoke the fascination. A love story that began as fiction and transformed into reality, echoing with the same themes: rediscovery, longing, redemption. And if the drama ends with the couple walking off into the sunset, life for once has followed suit. So, is the groom a top Korean actor? Undeniably. But beyond the fame and the title, Lee Minho is something far rarer. A man who has chosen and been chosen. In silence, in sincerity, in truth. And for Song Hye-kyo, whose every move has long been framed by public expectation, this love, unrushed, unfaked, is the boldest act of all. Because sometimes, the greatest stories aren't the ones on screen. They're the ones that sneak up between takes, bloom between rehearsals, and linger long after the credits roll. And in the case of Song Hye-kyo and Lee Minho, it's not just a story. It's a beginning. As the news continued to dominate headlines across Korea, Japan, and beyond, industry veterans couldn't help but marvel at the subtlety with which the relationship had unfolded. Senior entertainment reporters who had followed Song Hye-kyo's career for over 2 decades admitted they were blindsided, not by the marriage itself, but by how quietly, respectfully, and elegantly it had all been handled. No rumors, no damage control, no distractions, one veteran columnist wrote. Just a woman who found peace, and a man who walked beside her, not in front, not behind, but beside. Meanwhile, international outlets, from Vogue Korea to Variety and Tatler Asia, began profiling the relationship, not as celebrity gossip, but as a cultural phenomenon. This wasn't just two stars falling in love. This was the convergence of two legacies, two actors whose faces have defined modern Korean drama, who had independently weathered fame, fatigue, and loneliness, and had chosen, at this stage in their lives, not just romance but something deeper: partnership. Fans began revisiting past interviews, connecting dots that now seemed obvious in hindsight. Lee Minho, in a 2022 interview, once said, "I admire people who carry grace under pressure, who walk quietly even when the world is loud." Song Hye-kyo, during a Netflix roundtable that same year, remarked, "I think I'll know he's the one when I feel at ease beside him." No pretense. No performance. Neither knew they were describing each other. Or perhaps, somehow, they already did. In a rare moment of openness, a close friend of Song's shared anonymously, She's never smiled like this. It's not the red carpet kind of smile. It's softer, calmer, real. That sentiment, quiet and understated, echoed through fan communities as well. For so many, this marriage symbolized more than a union. It was a full circle moment. After all the heartbreak, all the speculation, all the years of being adored and dissected in equal measure, Song Hye-kyo was choosing a new beginning on her own terms. Minho, too, seemed to step into this chapter with grounded confidence. Long known as the ultimate K-drama prince, he had often been cast as larger than life. But those who worked with him on Slowly intensely said this version of him off-camera unguarded was different. He was thoughtful, not just about the role, but about her, one crew member shared. He protected her space. He listened. And when she wasn't speaking, he noticed the silence. Together, they weren't just two actors sharing scenes. They were and are two artists building a quiet kind of love, layer by layer, moment by moment, far from the gaze that once defined their careers. And perhaps that's the lesson embedded in this entire story. That even under the heaviest spotlight, something tender can still grow in the shadows.